Hey everyone, welcome to Embrace the Change, a three-part virtual series where we've been exploring how to thrive during menopause and beyond. I'm Jeannie Ralston, co-founder of Next Tribe, a digital magazine and community for smart, engaged women over 45. And once again, we're thrilled to be partnering with this series with Nutrafol, which produces a specially formulated supplement that helps menopausal women take control of their hair health and boost overall well-being. Today, in our final session, we're going to cover fitness, energy, and sleep, ways to live a healthier lifestyle and to ensure our bodies are working the best they can be. I think most of us have experienced one or more of these physical challenges as we've gotten older: joint pain, energy loss, weight gain, and insomnia. And you might not be getting the answers you need, since we all know that the media often treats menopause as if it's taboo. And many health professionals aren't properly trained to discuss menopause. Well, Next Tribe and Nutrafol are trying to change all that, giving you the information you need straight from the experts. So let me introduce our guests who have answers for you today. Dr. Ann Kennard is something of a renaissance woman when it comes to wellness. She's an OBGYN, integrative medicine physician, herbalist, nutritionist, and yoga instructor with a passion for health in body, mind, soul. She's also the author of Nourish, an integrative medicine cookbook. So nice to have you here, Dr. Kennard.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so pleased to be here.
Great. Carla Kemp is a fitness expert who shares her day-to-day exercise and nutrition routines with her scores of followers on social media via her handle, Fab and Fit by Carla. We're going to put that in the chat so you can see that later. At 57, she's outrageously fit and doesn't plan on slowing down. Welcome, Carla.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Great. To all of you joining us at this event, I'd like to encourage you to write questions using the chat function, or if you're watching on Facebook Live, you can write questions in the comments. Please let us know who you're directing your questions to. Nutrafol is going to give 3 of you a 3-month subscription to Women's Balance, and we'll be choosing winners from those who have asked questions. So come on, ladies, let's go. Let us start. I wanted to start with you, Dr. Kennard, just wondering if you can just give us the background of what happens to us physiologically during menopause.
Yes, of course. So menopause, I think, is often treated as a singular event in a woman's life, and in reality, it is more of a transition, the menopause transition. And physiologically, what that means is the loss of reproductive function, cessation eventually of ovulation, and decrease of the ovarian hormones such as estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. But what that means for the whole body and kind of for the spirit, it's a transition of womanhood, and many women will notice either increased weight or redistribution of weight, change in sleep patterns, decrease in lean body mass, decrease in bone mass. But what I also love to think about and celebrate is sort of the wisdom of women after menopause. They're sort of unapologetically owning their life and their power. And I think that our society that, celebrates youth so much is remiss, and that women after the menopause transition are really the elders and the wisdom women of our society.
Well, I love that. And that's what we talked about in session 2. We talked a little bit about maybe evolution chose or selected menopause because women at this age have something bigger, even bigger than motherhood. I mean, that's big, but now we are transitioning to something where we're using our power. I like to think that. So one of the things we hear a lot of from our readers, and I know personally, is like just a drop in energy. And I just didn't know, I don't know if you have ideas for what we can be doing, why that occurs and what we can be doing about it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I hear from many women about the decrease in energy after menopause. And some of it, I think, is related to the changes in sleep patterns. And we'll talk about that in the broadcast today. Some of it is related to hormonal changes. And there are ways, through diet and lifestyle to help improve the decreased energy after menopause.
And what are some of the things that we could be focusing on for food or supplements or energy?
Yeah, so I think one of the main things is optimizing sleep when possible in terms of energy and prioritizing self-care, and that includes sleep as well. Energy is also very related to diet, and choosing a whole foods, plant-forward, anti-inflammatory diet, low in sugar, processed foods, is going to help tremendously with energy. And then targeted supplementation. One of my favorite supplements for energy and vitality after menopause is maca, and which is studied to improve those aspects as well as libido. And I was very pleased to see it included in the Nutrafol Women's Balance supplement.
So maca is something that's good, and that's in Nutrafol's Women's Balance that we love so much. So we'll get to sleep and everything, but we also were talking about fitness as well, and we have a really great person to answer questions about that. And how I've seen, Carla, in your social media, you've mentioned about how exercises help you manage some of your symptoms of menopause. I think that's so interesting, and I love to hear more about that.
Yes, most definitely. So yes, aerobic exercise helps with depression and anxiety that comes along with menopause. And then of course we have mood swings. Just kind of going out for a brisk walk can help us manage those moods. I myself was lacking energy, which was a major problem for me because prior I was just always had tons of energy. And so now, I'm in my 40s and my 50s, and my energy is starting to decrease, and I'm, entering menopause. So I was like, I got to get out of this rut. What can I do? So I just came up with something simple and that was easy for me. I decided that, okay, just go to the gym and just walk on the treadmill for 15 minutes. I knew I could do that. It was easy. So I started there, and then I started slowly increasing the time to up to 30 minutes. It took a couple of weeks. I started walking faster, and then just my energy just started to come back. I felt better about myself. And then I incorporated other components of exercising into that. But walking was something that just kind of got me moving to put it back into my lifestyle.
Well, and I know that a lot of people think, oh, I just can't do it, or they maybe this age they think that because they feel less energetic that they don't have the energy to do this. So how can we motivate ourselves to at least get started and start seeing some progress?
Okay. I think you should try to find things that move you. So personally, for me, music was a big factor, and I think music moves all of us. If we hear a song we really like, it's like, oh, that's, one of my favorite songs. So I decided to incorporate music along with exercise. So I put together a playlist of all my favorite music, upbeat music. I like gospel music. I like old school music, Aretha Franklin, just anything that, yay for Aretha, anything that would kind of get us going. So start there, and then you put the music on, you're exercising, time goes by so quickly. Another thing that you can do, I found that was helpful, is classes. Because usually sometimes women go to the gym or they're like, I don't know what to do. But if you take a class, you already have an instructor that has put together a program for you. All you have to do is just listen to her and just do what she says do. So classes are great. Music is great. I would kind of start in that direction.
And I guess even now, I mean, obviously with COVID and everything shutting down, we've gone through a session where we can't go to the gym. but I actually found I was doing yoga more because because I didn't have to get out of my house, I didn't have to make the drive to the yoga class. So I mean, obviously there's terrible things and really frustrating things out of COVID, but maybe just trying to have classes in your home.
Exactly. One great thing about the internet and social media, we can Google anything, and YouTube has resources of any and everything that you want. So if you want to say, oh, what's some basic exercises I can do? Just Google it. You can find it YouTube, or even on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. There are a lot of trainers that share their routines for free, and you can definitely take advantage of that at home. And of course, that's what I've been doing the last 2 or 3 months. I've been working out at home.
And you've been posting stuff about your routine. I'm sure your followers have enjoyed that and been inspired.
Yes.
So Dr. Kennard, we're talking about, working out, but let's talk about weight gain too, because we actually did a story about, weight gain during menopause, and people are like, whoa, what's happened? So can you tell us what does happen? Why does this happen to us?
Yes, this is one of the main concerns that I hear about when I'm taking care of women for gynecologic concerns. And in menopause, because of the changes in hormones, there is a redistribution of body fat, as well as a conversion of lean body mass to fat. And many women I found in the late 40s and early 50s start to complain that they carry weight in their midsection when they hadn't previously. And it's a distressing symptom for many women. And from a nutrition perspective, what I've found to work the best for that particular issue in that particular hormonal milieu is a combination of a lower carbohydrate diet combined with intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating. There's many different ways to do this. I think the most user-friendly approach is to limit overnight eating. And so a period of at least 12 hours, say 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., in which there's no caloric intake. And that seems to be good for resetting the metabolism as much as possible. And that reflects in the research and also in my own practice. That seems to be the one thing that people come back consistently and say, that one thing made a difference. It sensitizes the cells to insulin, it helps prevent prediabetes, and decreases inflammation overall, and does seem to help with energy and improve sleep as well.
So intermittent fasting, I've read about it. I think we've done stories, but that's not just a fad. I mean, that is something that scientists kind of back up.
Yeah, it is well researched at this point, and there's many different ways to do it. Some are not tremendously user-friendly, but I think in terms of, going to a 12-hour fast overnight, that is a more ancestral way of eating, and certainly one that our grandparents would recognize, that it, I think, is more modern that we don't do that, actually, and is approved in obesity research as well as for reversing diabetes. And when combined with a lower carbohydrate diet, whole foods, plant forward, limited sugars and processed foods, and high phytonutrients too. So like things like ginger, turmeric, greens, anything with a real vibrant color. Things like Brussels sprouts, kale, any of the sulfur containing vegetables. And even, there's some different supplements like that. There is some curcumin, which is the active ingredient turmeric in the Nutrafol product. And all of those are going to support decreased inflammation and better energy and weight support in the menopause transition.
And so you were talking about the redistribution. So does that mean a lot goes to our waist areas? That's what you're talking about? Because
it's that
hips.
It's that bulge under the belly button.
The muffin top. The notorious muffin top.
Yeah, some shift from around the hips to around the just below the belly button is a common redistribution in menopause.
And does that, the intermittent fasting, that's going to help that with that as well?
Yes.
Okay. And also, I guess we're going to, talk about some crunches, stuff, ab work.
I'll leave that to Carla. But in terms of
yeah, let's ask him. I mean, is that something, I've always been told you can't, spot exercises don't work, but then I look at you, Carla, and I'm thinking, well, maybe they do.
No, you can't spot reduce. So you have to do the whole package. So, the cardio exercise is going to be important, a full body workout.
So let's talk about, I know. Speaking of that, what does a balanced fitness routine look like for someone who's trying to get back in shape or is going through menopause and has redistribution? What's it look like to you?
Okay, well, you definitely want to have some type of aerobic activity. And what that means is something that's going to get the heart rate up, something that possibly will break a sweat for you. So that could be a brisk walking, it could be jogging, it could be swimming, it could be taking a class. And you can start out with just maybe 10 minutes a day. You don't have to, do a long workout session. So have aerobic activity. The second thing would be some type of strength training. And you can do that maybe 2 to 3 times a day. And once again, not 2 to 3 times a week for like 10, I know, right? A couple of times a week, 10 minutes. And that's where hand weights would come in, workout bands. You can also use your own physical body weight. And so when I say your own body weight, that could be like a modified push-up. It could be squats, burpees, planks. Those are all just incorporating your own body weight. The next component would be stretching, which is going to help with flexibility, and that can involve yoga, Pilates, and then the final component would be some type of balance and mobility, which of course as we get older we start to kind of lose our balance, so we want to practice exercises that can assist with that. So that could be just standing on one foot for maybe 10-20 seconds and switching to the other foot, or it could be just practicing putting one foot in front of the other and walking in a straight line for 20 steps. So try to incorporate all 4 of those components into a workout.
That's great. Yes. Now I was thinking about strength training, and I did see one of your videos where you used a rubber band to help with the pull-up.
Oh, definitely.
I love that because I like laugh at myself. I do push-ups, but I cannot do a pull-up to save my life. So I'm going to use that one.
Right. We definitely take advantage of modifications. So instead of saying, oh, I can't do that, just find a modified version of it and do that until you build the strength where you can incorporate the full movement.
Okay, good. Well, now I can tell my husband because he's laughing at me. So I know that a lot of people at this age, you have joint pains, whatever, and that sometimes is a barrier to even starting exercise. And what can we do about that? The kind of those joint pain, other discomfort.
Yes, with joint pains, well, you definitely want to work through it. You don't want to have the concept or idea, oh, I'm not going to do anything at all. Because if you work through it and start incorporating exercises, it will reduce the pain. And of course, always consult your doctor first. And you also want to do low impact exercises. Swimming is great. Pilates, even strength training. Just keep everything at a low impact.
And I did like that we were talking before and you said something about water aerobics, which somebody told me that when they clock, they have their Fit Watch or Fitbit, that they burn so many calories through water aerobics, more than they ever imagined.
Yes, definitely. And they have the little hand weight. They have all kind of tools and mechanisms you can use in the pool as well to assist you. Yeah, in classes as well. So if you say, oh, I don't know what to do, finding a water aerobics class, you'll have an instructor there and you can just follow his or her routine.
Okay, good. So Dr. Kennard, I want to go to one of the biggest questions we get, besides getting rid of your muffin top, but it's about sleep. Like we had a writer write about sleep, and she said that now she and her friends trade sleep tips as adamantly as they used to exchange diet tips. So it's a big thing for women our age. So why is it that we have so much trouble sleeping at this age?
Mm-hmm. Sleep is so multifactorial. After menopause, I think it's disrupted because of the hormonal changes. There's a difference in the thermoregulation, the set point. People also tend to have more issues with their bladder and needing to go to the bathroom at night, which is disruptive to the sleep. There's some change too in the body's need for sleep that decreases a little bit as we age. And then I do think that there is this kind of mental component too of worry, anxiety, stress. I think sleep has been one of the big things during COVID that has come up for people, that they're having new onset insomnia. And that's a question that I've been fielding a lot. And then the overlap too, you had mentioned that people ask about sleep and then the weight around the midsection. And, there, as with everything in the body, the knee bone is connected to the hip bone. Things don't happen in isolation. And when the sleep is optimized, it allows the body to optimize the metabolism as well. And proper sleep is so important. We know that decreased sleep is correlated very strongly with obesity and even all-cause mortality. And so optimizing sleep is, in my opinion, one of the most important things that we can do in terms of health, specifically related to menopause for sleep. It's very important that the room is cool and dark. Experts say between 64 to 68 degrees. And then the sleep hygiene routine is also so important to just kind of tick down the list. You want to avoid eating a couple hours before bed for optimum sleep. Alcohol can help relax people, but it actually disrupts the sleep patterns. And so you may notice decreased sleep with alcohol use, another quarantine issue for people. And then now, just the electronics. People are in their beds on their phones, and that not only the blue light, but the scrolling and just kind of the rapid input of information into the eyes and the brain, that directly sets you up to be alert, awake, have the sympathetic nervous system active, and is not conducive at all to sleep. And so at least 1 hour without electronics before bed. I think probably 2 is prudent for someone with difficulty sleeping. And then I'm a big fan too of some sort of reflective, contemplative exercise before bed. It really sets up the brain to transition into sleep. And so thinking of sleep as letting go of waking rather than something else to do. I have to fall asleep, coming at it from a place of a scarcity mindset to say, well, I'm not going to get enough sleep. And you do the alarm clock thing where you're like, if I fall asleep now, I'll get 5 hours and 47 minutes of sleep,
Yeah.
But some kind of progressive relaxation, yoga nidra, gentle stretch.
Uh-oh, everything froze.
To the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest. And then some supplements can be helpful as well. And talk to your gynecologist too if the bladder issues are keeping you up at night, because many times that is optimizable and you don't have to live with that.
Okay, good. And I think probably exercise too, that helps.
Absolutely, I should have mentioned that. Exercise earlier in the day, natural light earlier in the day just helps set up the body's biorhythms to be in sync.
And Carla, did you notice when you started really cranking up your workouts, did that help your sleep?
Most definitely, exercise does help with helping you when you do go to sleep to go into more of a deep sleep. So it does help with the quality and the duration, most definitely,
And
yes.
I'm asking all these questions as a former insomniac, where I had I went through hypnotism to help, and it really did help. So
Mhm.
another suggestion. So and all of this, I know both of you are proponents of yoga, and Dr. Kennard, you're a yoga instructor. And so what are some of the particular bonuses of yoga? I think that it sounds like we're making a case for ladies, let's get your yoga mats out. Dr. Kennard, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. Yoga is so adaptable to any body and any physical situation. And I think that many people think, well, I'm not flexible, so I can't do yoga. Or they might be intimidated by a yoga class with people that they perceive to be in better shape or more flexible than they. And in fact, I teach mostly restorative yoga, yin yoga, chair yoga for people with limited mobility and disabilities. And it is remarkable in that, like Carla was talking about the body weight, the isometric contraction of the muscles in yoga is actually protective for the bone. And so yoga for bone health, yoga for flexibility and balance. And besides these physical benefits, and you can get a very good aerobic exercise too with yoga, depending on the style and how quickly you're transitioning between the poses. But I think of yoga as working in, not working out. And I started yoga for the physical benefits, and I continued it for the mental and benefits, the improved sleep, the improved kind of acceptance of self and others, and the ability to cultivate kindness and compassion for myself and for others, and to move in the world in just a little bit more, gentler and at ease manner.
I love that. I love that. And Carla, what you do yoga, right?
Yes, yes, I do. And I remember when I first started doing yoga, the teacher said, it's your practice, which is great. So it's what your individual body can do. So you don't compare yourself to how far someone else is stretching, or they're bending over their head and doing all these poses that I still can't do. It's your practice. And I will say this, yoga has been so rewarding. There hasn't been a time when I haven't finished a yoga session and just felt like $1 million. The endorphins and just everything that's happening to your body, you just really feel at peace, and you feel like you can conquer the world, and you're going to be nice and say nice things to people. And particularly in this climate now, I mean, we all need to just kind of like breathe. So yes, yoga is very rewarding in that aspect. And then also, when I was talking about the components of exercise, even with yoga, you can practice balance, and you're doing stretching, and you're also doing strength training. So you have 3 components right there in putting together a yoga session for yourself.
Great. And I should just make a plug, because Next Tribe has been sponsoring yoga classes. Kimberly Seiler, if Kim's on, and a yoga nidra by Dawn Raphael. So we got you covered. It's free, and we'll tell you more about it if you're interested. You can write us. So we're getting look at all kinds of questions here. So where to start? Let's start with this. We're talking about some about dieting. Somebody wants to know, what is the science behind the time-restricted eating? And I know that there's probably deep science. I don't know how much you want to go into, but if we can get a little bit more about that, how that works.
Yes, of course. Yes, there's a pretty deep body of evidence and science behind it. I think the couple main takeaways from the science behind time-restricted eating is it allows the liver, which stores glucose, to get into a place of using its stored glucose rather than storing more. which is actually where you start to see fatty liver disease and that kind of thing in people, and insulin resistance. And so optimization of the liver's utilization and storage of glucose, and then improvement in the cell signaling. That diabetes generally starts not as a disorder of high sugar, but of insulin resistance. And by giving the cells kind of a break, per se, it improves the cell's ability to take up glucose, to be sensitive to insulin, and keeping the blood glucose normal. And even if somebody's not overtly diabetic, that insulin resistance tends to contribute to the midsection weight gain and appearance that bothers many women. And the time-restricted eating improves both of those factors.
Okay, and we probably need to talk to you at length for a story all about intermittent. We've done one, but we could do another one, I'm sure, because people are very interested in that. Becky asked, what about bloating and digestive problems when you age? And drinking carbonated flavored waters? I don't know if that was it was a separate question. So let's start starting about bloating and digestive problems.
Bloating and digestive problems at any age, and particularly through the menopause transition and afterwards, is a common complaint. And there's an exploding amount of research right now on the microbiome, and some of that transitions with age as well. From a practical perspective, what you can do to optimize this is a couple of simple things. I tend to like the framework that Ayurveda, which is a ancient medicine system from India, offers. And as someone is past menopause, they enter more of a vata stage in life, a drier stage that seems to slow the colon, contribute to wind, and actually in that system too, the wind in the bones is what is known as osteoporosis in the Western world.
Oh.
And so a lot of warming foods, warm lemon water in the morning, warming spices like the turmeric, the ginger. I've provided my adaptogen golden milk recipe for our listeners today. That's a beautiful warming type of drink that will actually improve the digestion, and then those can be taken in supplement form as well. I also am a fan of Triphala, which is an Ayurvedic remedy of 3 astringent fruits that tends to optimize the gut function after menopause. And one of the things that I really love about the Nutrafol Women's Balance is the addition of ashwagandha, which is another Ayurvedic herb that has become more popular in the last couple of years. It's a wonderful herb for women in the menopause transition and beyond, those that are tired, wired, they lay at night awake, just kind of unable to turn their mind off. And from a digestive perspective, and also from a sleep perspective, and actually some data showing that it decreases carbohydrate craving as well, and decreases body weight a little bit. I think that is a really nice consideration for this time period.
Oh, that's good. That's great. And so what about, somebody is asking, is it normal to have episodes of high energy and then crash and fatigue?
Is that a question for me?
Yes, let's have that for you. And
Okay. I think that energy can fluctuate in menopause. I would turn a careful eye to the diet in that standpoint. Just make sure that there's enough fat, there's enough protein, something that you're not getting a lot of carbohydrate energy and then kind of crashing. The lots of greens with healthy fats are going to provide a steady state of energy. And then I'll kick that question over to Carla too, because I think exercise is very important in maintaining a steady level of energy through the day.
Definitely. That's why, exercise should really be a lifestyle It should just be part of your lifestyle, and then it will help definitely with your energy levels, keeping them consistent, keeping them balanced. So yeah, and then of course we all sometimes, even though I exercise, some days my energy might be high and other days it might be low. And that's just, you just have to listen to your body. It just means that maybe I need to slow down, or maybe I do need to look at what I was eating. What did I eat the day before? Did I eat a balanced meal? Am I drinking enough water? So listening to your body, and then just kind of figuring out maybe what did I do that triggered my energy to be so low today.
Yeah, that's a good point about drinking water. I think I'm guilty of that. And that really does, it can mess you up, your
Exactly.
headaches and all this stuff. So we also, I guess this one would be this is about thyroid issues. So I guess it would be for Dr. Kennard. Can menopause cause an increase of thyroid issues? I've had a slow thyroid for years, but not enough for modification. We noticed a lump within the last 2 months near my thyroid.
So with the caveat that I can't give specific medical advice for any individual, I will say that thyroid function does tend to change really with any hormonal shift. It changes with pregnancy and postpartum, and we've noticed this again through the menopause transition. And many women qualify for a subclinical hypothyroid type of diagnosis after menopause, where their labs haven't shifted enough, but they're trending a little bit. And that is actually one of the things that ashwagandha is studied for, is improving subclinical hypothyroidism, improving not only energy and function, but also tends to normalize the labs. And sometimes working with either an integrative medicine physician or a naturopathic doctor can provide some additional support in terms of making sure that micronutrient status is optimized, that the diet is optimized. Many women improve on a gluten-free diet, although the mechanism is not fully elucidated, but that is an idea that sometimes will improve that issue for my patients, as well as sleep, decreased stress. Stress affects everything, and the stress hormones like the cortisol, we didn't even get into that with the midsection fat, but that is a huge driver of metabolic issues in the body.
Yeah, and we did have some questions about that. So cortisol is produced by stress, or stress leads to increases.
That's right.
And that
cortisol. Sorry, go ahead.
No. And is that what puts weight on our middle, or?
It does. That high stress, high cortisol levels is correlated with fat distribution in the midsection, and it's all interrelated. If people don't sleep well, they tend to have cortisol dysregulation, which then further contributes to weight gain. And stress as well. So cortisol is a stress hormone released by the adrenals, which is these little gland that sits on top of the kidneys. And there's a lot of talk right now about, quote, adrenal fatigue. And I think that is somewhat of a misnomer. And what we're actually talking about is chronic, unrelenting stress and cortisol dysregulation. So for example, somebody, say with fibromyalgia, tends to be very, very draggy in the morning, low energy, and they have an abnormal cortisol pattern in that it's very low when the cortisol should be higher in the morning and then taper off. For somebody that is that tired and wired type of person in the evening, and they're tired, but they just can't settle down, they tend to have increased cortisol in the evening when really it should have come down over the course of the day. And that's where not only sleep, exercise, diet, those are the cornerstones of improving that issue. But adaptogens, which are herbs that bring the body back to some sort of homeostasis, some sort of, the way it should be. Ashwagandha is an example of an adaptogen, and so it decreases the evening time cortisol and leaves the person feeling the effects of that. They're feeling less stressed, a little bit more able to relax and unwind in the evenings.
Well, that's great because yeah, we all, I mean, so many people have that where you just want to sleep but you can't. Speaking about stress, Michelle was asking, and I think this is related to stress also, is about thinning hair. Is there a way to prevent thinning hair? We've discussed this but in a different one, but let's talk about it because it is on people's mind.
Mm-hmm. This is actually how I came to know about Nutrafol, because I had so many patients with this concern, and I wanted to try, my best to help them. And this can kind of fall under gynecology or dermatology, so you'll see it in both arenas. Definitely the hormonal changes cause hair thinning. They can cause hair loss and just kind of a drier, more brittle hair. And so the combination of the nutrients that support hair growth, along with compounds like the curcumin that are anti-inflammatory, and then some of the things that were added into this specific women's balance for hair loss are helpful. Women sometimes will notice differences with hormonal replacement therapy, and they do notice differences too with whole food, plant-forward diet, exercise, and sleep. You can't get around those really being the foundation of the house of health,
The house of health, I like that. So yeah, and that's like, since Nutrafol is made specific, I mean, for thinning hair, that's a good thing to hear. And I like that there are other benefits, like with the ashwagandha, you're not just helping your hair, you're helping in other ways too, so that's a bonus, right? And I know that, I think somebody has a question specifically for Carla. Can you discuss how HIIT works, or is it HIIT as exercise, and give examples of some of the exercises involved?
Yes, so it's HIIT. It's a fast form of you're incorporating an intense workout in a short amount of time. So usually they might have maybe 5 different stations, and then you stay at one station maybe for 1 minute. You are doing a high intensity workout. Maybe you're running in place, and then you go to the second station, and there might be some hand weights, and you're doing some dumbbell curls. So I do enjoy it because you're getting the intensity, you're getting that aerobic exercise, so your heart rate is going, and at the same time you're doing strength training, so you're able to incorporate 2 different components at one time in a short amount of time to get the workout done. So yes, definitely recommended.
Okay, good. And actually, that's what I did today. That's my work. It was my workout today. And I want to go to sleep issues. We have like only a few minutes left, and we have a lot of questions about sleep. And one, I guess people are asking a lot about the supplements for sleep. Like somebody's taking magnesium and wants to know if that's okay. And somebody takes melatonin every night, and she's feeling like, oh, is that bad to take it every night? So I think that might be for Dr. Kennard about sleep supplements.
Thank you. Yes, this is an important question, and one that people generally have a lot of questions about. I want to reiterate that the most potent sleep medicine is night itself. And so allowing yourself to experience natural darkness through decreased electronic use, lighting in the home, dark room at night, and practicing those, practices, like you said, Next Tribe has a yoga nidra or some kind of meditation to get the brain ready for sleep. That being said, I'll briefly go over a couple of sleep supplements. Ashwagandha in the Women's Balance product is not specifically for sleep, but many women notice improved sleep as well as the other benefits to ashwagandha. And so I really like that one kind of overall, almost as a women's tonic in the menopause transition and beyond. Magnesium, we've known since about the 1920s that American soil is deficient in magnesium. So even if you're eating magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens, most Americans are magnesium deficient. And so I really do like that as a daily supplement for many reasons, sleep being one of them. There's different forms. Magnesium glycinate or bisglycinate is generally well tolerated. Magnesium citrate can cause diarrhea, but if somebody tends towards constipation, that can be a welcome side effect. And so you need to experiment with which form of magnesium works for you. Melatonin is safe to take long-term, it seems, at least available on the, at least as on the available research. One that I particularly like for women in the menopause transition is hops, just like you hear about beer, right? Like a hoppy IPA. Hops is a little viney plant, and it tends to actually improve the wakefulness in the middle of the night. So people that wake up in the middle of the night and have a difficult time going back to sleep, and seems to decrease some nighttime hot flashes as well. So if that's contributing to poor sleep, that's an excellent consideration. And some of the others, like valerian root, is used commonly in Europe, passion flower, and then there's some relaxants that are very tasty teas to wind down in the evening, things like lemon balm or even chamomile, very gentle, nervine relaxants.
Okay, well, gosh, we're even past time. I can't believe it. And there's still more questions. We'll have to do another one of these, I think. But I just think this just shows that there's so many questions and not enough places to get the answers. And we're so happy to be doing this service. And we're so happy that Nutrivol has been such a great partner with this through the 3 sessions we've done. So I want to thank them, and I want to just to say again, that Nutrifol is the women's balance. This is the women's balance that you can find, and they're at Nutrifol.com. That's what we've been talking about with ashwagandha and all those other supplements. And we'll be sending out an email to all of you who've attended with the video link to the session in case there's things you want to re-listen to. And also we'll be doing an article, and that will go into more details on some of these things that might have slipped by you too fast. And we have a bonus, as Dr. Kennard mentioned. She's going to be sharing one of her recipes from her cookbook, Nourish, that I mentioned earlier, which it's just wonderful. And don't forget that we'll be picking 3 of you to receive 3 months worth of Nutrifol Women's Balance. So stay tuned for that. And to all of you, really, this has been a great series. And I thank Dr. Kennard and Carla. You guys are great. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.